Hey, this is Greg from Pearl City Antiques, and we wanted to start doing a video series on kind of deep dive into the different movements of American and English furniture. And we wanted to start this series with episode 1, talking about Queen Anne furniture. So Queen Anne, many of the movements of English and colonial furniture were named after the monarch of the time. Queen Anne reigned from 1702 to 1714 and really established this movement in furniture that is named after her, established a much more graceful and a much more refined look. It took over some of the proportions that we saw in like William and Mary pieces, but really replaced like the William and Mary aesthetic was much more robust, big, grand, bulbous like turnings and like really strong structural details that you would see in William and Mary furniture. And it took it and it made it much more refined, much more graceful. And the Queen Anne movement in furniture was really exemplified by looking at the certainly at the chairs, which is the greatest way to tell, like, you know, the period furniture, by looking at the legs, which were really graceful cabriole legs that were typically on pad or slipper feet, but really graceful proportions, a lot of like visual movement in the pieces. When you looked at a chair in particular, you saw, you know, very graceful scrolled splats, nice, comfortable, curved backs on the chairs, and many times you would see a slip-in seat that was upholstered, and then these, you know, seats lifted out. So that you would see that commonly in the Queen Anne style. If you looked at like case goods, like dressers and those kinds of things, the Queen Anne highboy is very, you know, indicative of the period. Also with cabriole legs and typically slipper or pad feet, but very graceful. Not a lot of adornment, so there wasn't a lot of like, you know, hand-carved detail in Queen Anne pieces. The symmetry was important, and the flow of the piece and the way that it kind of moved visually was very important. This marked like a big departure from like the earlier like Jacobean and William and Mary pieces of the earlier period of the late 1600s, etc. So much more refinement. Craftsmanship is easy to see in original Queen Anne pieces. Many of the pieces, you know, the legs on chairs, the legs on highboys were all pegged, so they didn't use metal fasteners in those joints. You will see the pieces being like hand pegged. It's an easy way to tell the early 18th century pieces from like later like centennial pieces or reproductions, because these pieces were continually made under the Queen Anne kind of label or moniker, if you will, from Queen Anne's reign all the way through like 1760, but then also even in modern furniture you'll see these details. So you know, we're careful here at Pearl City Antiques to identify a piece that is either a reproduction or in the style of from an original period Queen Anne piece. Because obviously there's a big difference in the value of those pieces and the way that they're, you know, how fine they're made and the characteristics that you'll see. So in Queen Anne furniture, they made the furniture out of various types of wood, both in England and in colonial America, because this very same movement in furniture that was happening in England also, you know, in parallel happened here in colonial America. So you'll see Queen Anne pieces made in America, Queen Anne pieces made in England. But this is a very important part of, you know, furniture design. The aesthetic is just beautiful. It's simple. It's graceful. And when you see a really finely made period Queen Anne piece, you know, the quality and the proportions and the visual weight that the piece has and the way it moves and the way it's supported and the way it's crafted really stands out, because this was a very fine movement in antique furniture. So we just wanted to provide you this kind of deep dive into Queen Anne furniture, both period furniture and then furniture that was made in the style of. You find Queen Anne style furniture, you know, even in antiquity, all the way into the 19th century, and you know, even today, you know, Queen Anne furniture, style furniture can still be bought at the furniture store. These designs are really timeless and really important to understand if you want to know a little bit more about maybe the pieces that you have in your home, or you're interested in like seeing some like genuine Queen Anne furniture. We have many beautiful examples here at Pearl City Antiques, and we'd love to help you on this journey if you want to incorporate these older pieces into your, you know, design, into your home, and make your space a even more beautiful one. We'd love to help you with that. PearlCityAntiques.com.